The conference room felt like it was closing in on him. Ryan sat there, trying his best to look interested in the quarterly sales report that his boss was presenting. Numbers flashed on the screen. Charts went up and down. Someone was talking about market penetration and growth targets. But honestly, Ryan couldn't care less right now. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He knew he shouldn't check it. Mr. Henderson was in the middle of explaining why their department needed to increase productivity by 15%. The last thing Ryan needed was to get caught looking at his phone during this meeting. But the thing is, when your phone buzzes during a boring meeting, it's almost impossible not to sneak a quick look. Ryan shifted in his chair and carefully pulled his phone out, keeping it low under the table. He glanced down at the screen, expecting maybe a message from his mom or a notification from some app he forgot to turn off. What he saw made his heart skip a beat. It was from Lisa, his girlfriend of 6 months. The message was short, just one line, but it hit him like a truck. "Guess what I'm not wearing?" Followed by a little smirking emoji and then another message. "I dare you to answer." Ryan felt his face get hot. Like really hot. The kind of hot where you know your cheeks are probably bright red and everyone can probably tell something's up. He quickly locked his phone and shoved it back in his pocket, trying to act normal. But his mind was racing now. What did she mean by that? Was she being flirty? Was this some kind of joke? Lisa had always been the bold one in their relationship, the one who said what was on her mind without thinking twice. But this, in the middle of his workday, that was new territory. Ryan tried to focus back on the presentation. Mr. Henderson was now talking about client retention rates. Ryan nodded along, pretending to understand, but his thoughts kept drifting back to that message. He couldn't help but replay their first meeting in his head. It was 3 months ago at his friend Tom's gallery opening. Tom was always trying to be artsy, hanging out with creative types and pretending he understood abstract paintings. Ryan had gone just to support his friend, not expecting much. He was standing in front of this weird painting that looked like someone had spilled paint randomly on a canvas when he heard a voice next to him. "You look confused," she had said. Ryan turned and saw her. Lisa, she had this confidence about her. The way she stood, the way she smiled like she knew a secret you didn't. She was wearing a bright red jacket that somehow worked perfectly on her. "I am confused," Ryan admitted. "I don't really get modern art." "Neither do I," Lisa laughed. "But I pretend I do. Makes me feel sophisticated." They spent the rest of that evening talking. Well, mostly Lisa talked and Ryan listened, which was fine with him. She told stories about her travels, her crazy roommate, her job at the marketing firm downtown. She was so different from anyone he'd ever dated. Where Ryan was careful and planned everything, Lisa seemed to just go with whatever felt right in the moment. By the end of the night, she had grabbed his phone and put her number in it. "Text me," she said. "Or don't, but you probably will." She was right. He texted her the next day. Now, sitting in this meeting room, Ryan couldn't stop thinking about her message. His phone felt like it was burning a hole in his pocket. What was he supposed to say back? Should he be flirty too? Should he play it cool? Should he just ask her what she meant? The problem was Ryan wasn't good at this kind of thing. He'd been in relationships before, sure, but they were always straightforward. Dinner dates on Saturdays, movie nights on Fridays, everything planned and predictable. With Lisa, nothing was predictable. She'd text him at random times asking if he wanted to go for a midnight drive. She'd show up at his apartment with takeout food and a new board game she found at some thrift store. She kept him on his toes, and honestly, it was both exciting and terrifying. "Ryan, what do you think?" Mr. Henderson's voice snapped him back to reality. Everyone in the room was looking at him. His boss was standing there with his arms crossed, waiting for an answer to a question Ryan definitely didn't hear. Ryan stammered, his mind blank. "Could you repeat that?" A few people around the table smirked. Mr. Henderson looked annoyed but repeated the question. Something about whether Ryan's team could handle an extra project next month. Ryan gave some vague answer about checking the schedule and getting back to him, which seemed to satisfy his boss enough to move on. The meeting dragged on for another hour. An entire hour. Ryan kept glancing at the clock on the wall, watching the minutes tick by slower than they ever had before. People discussed budgets. Someone complained about the new software system. Another person brought up holiday schedules even though it was only September. All Ryan could think about was that message. Finally, After what felt like an eternity, Mr. Henderson wrapped things up. Everyone started gathering their papers and laptops, making small talk as they filed out of the room. Ryan grabbed his stuff quickly and headed straight for his car in the parking garage. Sitting in his car, engine off, Ryan pulled out his phone again. The message was still there, staring back at him. He read it over and over, trying to figure out the right response. His thumbs hovered over the keyboard. He typed something, then deleted it. Too boring. He typed something else, then deleted that too. Too forward, he tried again. Too awkward. This was ridiculous. He was a 32-year-old man sitting in his car, stressed out over a text message like he was back in high school. But that was the effect Lisa had on him. She made him feel like he was figuring things out for the first time all over again. The thing is, Ryan had always been the responsible one. The guy who showed up on time, who followed the rules, who colored inside the lines. His ex-girlfriend Rachel used to say he was too predictable. That was actually why she left him for someone more exciting, more spontaneous. That had hurt a lot. It made Ryan even more cautious, more careful about letting people in. Then Lisa came along and threw all of that out the window. She didn't seem to care about his careful nature. If anything, she seemed to find it amusing. She'd tease him about his organized closet or the way he planned their dates down to the minute, but she never made him feel bad about it. She just pushed him, gently, to try new things, and now she was pushing him again with this message. Ryan took a deep breath. He needed to respond. He couldn't just leave her hanging. But what should he say? He thought about playing it safe, asking her what she meant. But that felt cowardly somehow. Lisa had put herself out there, and he needed to meet her halfway. Or at least try to. His fingers moved across the keyboard, typing slowly. Your watch? The one you always wear? No, wait, that was stupid. He deleted it. He tried again, this time going for something a bit more bold. Your inhibitions? He stared at the message for a solid minute before finally hitting send. His heart was pounding as he watched the little dots appear, showing that Lisa was typing back. Her response came quick. LOL. Close. Try again. Ryan let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Okay, so he wasn't completely off base, but he wasn't right either. What else could it be? He sat there in his car, his mind spinning with possibilities, wondering what he'd gotten himself into and why his hands were actually shaking over a simple text message. This was going to be a long afternoon. Ryan spent the next 3 hours going back and forth with Lisa. Each message was like a little puzzle, and he was terrible at puzzles. He tried guessing her earrings, wrong. Her bracelet, wrong again. That fancy scarf she always wore. Nope. With each wrong answer, Lisa would send back a laughing emoji or a getting warmer or ice cold. It was driving him crazy, but in a good way. The kind of crazy that made him smile at his computer screen while pretending to work on spreadsheets. By 5 o'clock, Ryan had completely given up on getting any real work done. He packed up his desk, said goodbye to his coworkers, and rushed to his car. The whole drive home he kept thinking about what Lisa could possibly mean. His brain was working overtime, coming up with increasingly ridiculous possibilities. When he pulled up to his apartment building, his heart nearly stopped. There she was, sitting on the steps outside his building, holding a small shopping bag and wearing that mischievous smile that always made him nervous in the best way. Ryan parked and walked over to her, trying to play it cool even though he probably looked like a mess after stressing about her message all day. Hey, he said, shoving his hands in his pockets. Hey yourself. Lisa stood up, that smile getting even bigger. Took you long enough to get home? I left work as soon as I could, Ryan admitted. So are you going to tell me what you weren't wearing, or are you going to keep torturing me? Lisa laughed, a real genuine laugh that made her whole face light up. She reached into the shopping bag and pulled out a receipt, waving it in front of his face. My watch, she said. I wasn't wearing my watch. I left it at the jewelry store this morning to get the battery replaced, see? She showed him the receipt with the store's name printed at the top. Ryan felt his face go from confused to embarrassed in about 2 seconds flat. You're kidding me. Nope. Lisa was trying not to laugh too hard now. You really thought I was sending you some kind of flirty message in the middle of the day, didn't you? Maybe? Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, feeling like an idiot. I mean, the way you worded it and the emoji, I just thought, oh, I know exactly what you thought. Lisa was grinning now. Your face right now is priceless. I wish I had a camera. Okay, you got me. Ryan couldn't help but smile despite his embarrassment. Can we go inside now before my neighbors see me being humiliated on the doorstep? They went up to Ryan's apartment, a modest one-bedroom that was way too organized for someone his age. Everything had its place. His books were arranged by height on the shelf. His shoes were lined up perfectly by the door. Even his kitchen counter was spotless. Lisa had teased him about it before, calling him a neat freak. But she never said it in a mean way. It was just one of those things about him that she found amusing. They ordered pizza and sat on his couch, still laughing about the whole text message disaster. But then, as they were halfway through their second slice, the conversation shifted. It got quieter, more serious. Can I ask you something? Lisa said, setting down her pizza. Sure, Ryan said, though the tone in her voice made him a little nervous. Why did you seem so scared today? When you thought I was being flirty? Ryan didn't answer right away. He stared at his half-eaten slice of pizza, like it held the answers to life's biggest questions. This was the kind of conversation he usually avoided. The deep, honest kind where you had to talk about feelings and fears and all that uncomfortable stuff. I don't know, he started, but Lisa gave him a look that said she wasn't buying it. He sighed. Okay, fine. I guess I just felt like I was out of my depth. You're so spontaneous and bold, and I'm not. I like plans. I like knowing what's coming next. When you sent that message, it felt like the floor dropped out from under me. Lisa was quiet for a moment, processing what he'd said. Do you think I'm too much for you? No, Ryan said quickly, then corrected himself. Maybe sometimes I worry that I'm not enough for you. Like one day you're going to wake up and realize you're dating the most boring guy on the planet. Ryan, Lisa shifted closer to him on the couch. You're not boring. You're steady. There's a difference. Do you know how exhausting it is being spontaneous all the time? Always having to be the fun one, the adventurous one? Sometimes I wish I could just be still like you are. That surprised him. Ryan had always assumed Lisa loved being the way she was, never holding back, never overthinking things. It never occurred to him that maybe she got tired of it too. I never thought about it that way, he admitted. That's because you're too busy thinking I'm judging you for being organized. Lisa smiled. But here's the truth. I like that you're different from me. If we were the same, we'd probably drive each other crazy. They sat there for a while, just looking at each other. It was one of those moments where words didn't seem necessary. Ryan felt something shift inside him, like a door he'd been keeping locked was starting to open just a crack. Can I tell you something? Lisa said softly. Yeah, I get scared too. I know I act like I have it all figured out, like nothing bothers me. But the truth is I'm terrified you're going to get tired of me. That my constant need for excitement is going to wear you down and you'll want someone calmer. Someone who doesn't drag you to random places at midnight. Ryan reached over and took her hand. I don't want someone calmer. I want you. Even when you're driving me crazy with cryptic text messages about watches. Lisa laughed, squeezing his hand back. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. They finished their pizza and spent the rest of the evening just talking. Really talking. About their fears, their past relationships, their hopes for the future. It was the kind of conversation that made Ryan feel closer to Lisa than he ever had before. As the night got later, Lisa started gathering her things to leave. But before she got to the door, she turned back to Ryan with that familiar, mischievous look in her eyes. Hey, she said, what if I told you I want to try something? What kind of something? Ryan asked cautiously. What if we spent a whole day with no plans? Just wake up and see where the day takes us. No schedules, no itineraries, just spontaneous decisions. Ryan felt that familiar flutter of anxiety in his chest. The idea of a whole day with no plan made him uncomfortable. But looking at Lisa standing there, hopeful and excited, he found himself nodding. Okay, he said. When? This weekend. I have my family's lake house to myself. We could drive up Saturday morning, stay the night, come back Sunday. What do you say? Every logical part of Ryan's brain was screaming at him to say no. He had things to do this weekend. He needed to grocery shop, do laundry, reorganize his closet. But another part of him, a quieter part that was growing louder, was telling him to take the chance. I'm in, he said, surprising himself. Lisa's face lit up. Really? Really? But if we end up lost in the woods because we didn't plan properly, I'm blaming you. Deal, Lisa grinned, leaning in to kiss him on the cheek. This is going to be fun. I promise. After she left, Ryan sat on his couch, staring at the door. What had he just agreed to? A whole weekend with no plan? That went against everything in his nature. But maybe that was the point. Maybe it was time to stop playing it safe all the time. His phone buzzed. Another message from Lisa. Thanks for tonight. And thanks for being honest with me. See you Saturday. Ryan smiled, typing back a quick reply before heading to bed. As he lay there in the dark, he felt nervous and excited at the same time. This weekend was going to be interesting, that was for sure. Saturday morning came faster than Ryan expected. He'd barely slept the night before, his mind racing with all the things that could go wrong on an unplanned trip. What if they forgot something important? What if the weather turned bad? What if they ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere? But when Lisa pulled up to his apartment at 9 in the morning, honking her horn with that bright smile on her face, all his worries seemed a little less important. The drive to the lake house took about 2 hours. They listened to music, sang along badly to old songs, and stopped at a roadside diner for breakfast even though neither of them was particularly hungry. It was nice, Ryan had to admit. Just going with the flow, not worrying about being somewhere at a specific time. The lake house was beautiful. It sat right on the edge of a quiet lake, surrounded by trees that were just starting to change colors for fall. The air smelled clean and fresh, nothing like the city air Ryan was used to. My parents bought this place years ago, Lisa explained as they unloaded their bags. They barely use it anymore, but they keep it maintained. I come up here sometimes when I need to clear my head. They spent the day hiking around the lake, skipping stones on the water, and just talking about everything and nothing. Ryan found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't in months. No emails to check, no meetings to worry about, no schedules to keep. Just him and Lisa, and the sound of water lapping against the shore. As evening came, they built a fire in the fireplace and sat on the couch with mugs of hot chocolate. The sun was setting outside, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. This was a good idea, Ryan said, staring into the fire. Told you. Lisa nudged him with her shoulder. Sometimes no plan is the best plan. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just enjoying the warmth of the fire and each other's company. But then Lisa shifted, turning to face him with a serious expression. Can I ask you something? She said. You always can, Ryan replied. Do you remember that text message? The one about the watch? How could I forget? Ryan laughed. I made a complete fool of myself. But what if? Lisa paused, choosing her words carefully. What if I had meant what you thought I meant? Would that have been okay with you? Ryan felt his heart speed up. This was different from their conversation earlier in the week. This felt more real, more immediate. I don't know, he said honestly. I think I would have been terrified. But maybe in a good way. Lisa smiled softly. You're always so careful, Ryan. So worried about doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing. When do you just let yourself feel something without overthinking it? Probably never, Ryan admitted. It's not really in my nature. What if we tried something? Lisa said, her voice gentle but challenging. What if for the next 24 hours we just didn't think? No overthinking, no planning, no worrying about what comes next. Just being present in the moment. Could you do that? Ryan looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't pushing him or making fun of him. She was offering him a chance to be different, to step outside his comfort zone in a safe space with someone who cared about him. I can try, he said quietly. That's all I'm asking, Lisa said. Then she added with that familiar mischievous glint in her eye. So let me ask you again. Guess what I'm not wearing? Ryan's breath caught in his throat. This time he knew it wasn't about a watch. This time the question meant something entirely different. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, that familiar anxiety creeping up, but underneath the fear was something else. Excitement, want, a desire to take the leap. I don't know, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. What aren't you wearing? My walls, Lisa said softly, her eyes locked on his. I'm not hiding behind jokes or deflection. I'm just here, completely open, waiting to see if you'll meet me halfway. Ryan felt something crack open inside him. All his carefully built defenses, all his fear of getting hurt again, all his worries about being enough. In that moment, sitting in front of the fire with this incredible woman who somehow saw past all his anxieties, he made a choice. He reached out and took her hand. I'm scared, he admitted. I'm scared of messing this up. I'm scared of not being spontaneous enough or exciting enough. I'm scared of getting hurt again like I did before. I know, Lisa said, squeezing his hand. I'm scared too. But maybe we can be scared together. What if I'm terrible at being spontaneous? Ryan asked. What if you're not? What if you just let go for once and see what happens? Ryan looked at her, this beautiful, bold woman who had somehow decided he was worth her time. And in that moment, he made a decision. He stood up, still holding her hand, and pulled her up with him. You know what? He said, surprising himself with the steadiness in his voice. I've spent my whole life playing it safe, being careful, making sure I never took too big of a risk. And where did it get me? Alone and scared until you came along. Ryan, Lisa started, but he shook his head. Let me finish. You asked me to not overthink for 24 hours. So here it is, no overthinking. I don't know if I'm good at spontaneous. I don't know if I can be the exciting guy you deserve, but I know that when I'm with you, I feel more alive than I have in years, and that's worth taking a risk for. Lisa's eyes were shining now, reflecting the firelight. Are you sure? No, Ryan said honestly, but I'm doing it anyway. He leaned in and kissed her, soft and gentle at first, then deeper as she responded. It felt like jumping off a cliff and flying at the same time, terrifying and exhilarating all at once. When they finally pulled apart, Lisa was smiling. So what now? I guess, Ryan said, still holding her close. I'll have to find out what else you're not wearing. Lisa laughed, that beautiful, genuine laugh that he'd fallen for months ago. That's the spirit. She took his hand and led him toward the bedroom. Ryan's heart was racing, his palms were sweating, and every logical part of his brain was screaming at him. But for once in his life, he ignored all of it. He just followed her, ready to take the leap. As they reached the bedroom door, Lisa turned back to look at him one more time. Last chance to overthink this. Not a chance, Ryan said, and meant it. The fire crackled behind them as they disappeared into the bedroom, the door closing softly. Outside, the sun had fully set, and the lake was quiet under the stars. Inside, Ryan was finally learning what it meant. Ryan woke up to sunlight streaming through the bedroom window. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then the memories of the night before came rushing back, and he felt his face get warm. He turned his head and saw Lisa already awake, propped up on one elbow, watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Morning, she said softly. Morning, Ryan replied, suddenly feeling self-conscious. How long have you been awake? A while, Lisa said. I was just watching you sleep. Is that creepy? Maybe a little, Ryan smiled. But I'll allow it. They lay there in comfortable silence for a moment. The morning felt peaceful, calm. But then Lisa asked the question Ryan had been dreading. Do you regret it? Ryan turned to face her fully. No, do you? Not even a little bit, Lisa said. But there was something in her voice that made Ryan think she wasn't entirely convinced. I just wanted to make sure you weren't having second thoughts. You know, now that the moment has passed and your logical brain is back online. My logical brain is definitely back, Ryan admitted, but for once it's agreeing with my heart. Last night was exactly what I needed. You were exactly what I needed. Lisa smiled, a real genuine smile that made her whole face light up. Good, because I was worried I pushed you too hard. You didn't push me. You gave me permission to take a chance. There's a difference. They got up and made breakfast together, moving around the small kitchen like they'd done it 100 times before. Lisa burned the toast. Ryan overcooked the eggs, but somehow it was perfect anyway. They ate on the porch, watching the morning mist rise off the lake. I could get used to this, Ryan said, sipping his coffee. What, my terrible cooking? Lisa teased. No, this. Us. Being together without all the noise of the city and work and everything else. Just being present. Lisa reached over and squeezed his hand. Me too. They spent the morning packing up their stuff, taking their time. There was no rush to get back to the city. They took one last walk around the lake, holding hands and making plans for the next time they could come back. The drive home was just as easy as the drive up had been. They sang along to the radio, stopped for lunch at another roadside restaurant, and talked about their week ahead. Everything felt right, perfect even. Then Ryan's phone rang. He was driving, so Lisa grabbed his phone from the cup holder to decline the call. But before she could hit the button, she glanced at the screen. Her whole body tensed. It's Rachel, she said quietly. Ryan felt his stomach drop. Rachel, his ex-girlfriend, the one who left him for someone more exciting 2 years ago. The one who had broken his heart so badly he'd sworn off dating for months. Just decline it, Ryan said, keeping his eyes on the road. But the phone kept ringing. Lisa hit the decline button, but immediately a text message popped up. Lisa couldn't help but see it since the phone was in her hand. It says she needs to talk to you, that it's important. Ryan felt the mood in the car shift completely. The easy, comfortable feeling was gone, replaced by tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. It's nothing, Ryan said. She probably just needs something practical, like stuff she left at my place or something. Ryan, Lisa said, her voice careful. When's the last time you talked to her? I don't know. Months ago. Maybe longer. And she's just randomly calling you now, saying it's important. Ryan could hear the doubt in Lisa's voice, and it made his chest tighten. I don't know what she wants, Lisa, but it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, I don't care. But the damage was done. Lisa had gone quiet, staring out the window instead of at him. The rest of the drive home was filled with awkward silence, broken only by the sound of the radio playing songs neither of them were really listening to. When they got back to the city, Ryan offered to walk Lisa to her apartment, but she shook her head. I think I just want to be alone for a bit, she said, not quite meeting his eyes. Lisa, come on. Don't do this. Don't let a random phone call from my ex ruin what we just had. I'm not, Lisa said, but her voice said otherwise. I just need to think. Think about what? Ryan felt frustration rising in his chest. There's nothing to think about. I don't have feelings for Rachel. I haven't for a long time. Then why did you look so uncomfortable when her name popped up? Lisa challenged. Why did your whole body tense? Ryan didn't have a good answer for that. Because the truth was, seeing Rachel's name had made him uncomfortable. Not because he still had feelings for her, but because she represented a part of his past he'd rather forget. The part where he wasn't enough. The part where being safe and predictable cost him someone he loved. I wasn't uncomfortable because I still care about her. Ryan tried to explain. I was uncomfortable because she reminds me of a time when I felt like I wasn't enough. And I guess I'm scared that history's going to repeat itself. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Rachel left me because I was too boring. Too predictable. She wanted someone more exciting, more spontaneous. And then you came along and you're all those things she wanted me to be, but I wasn't. So yeah, seeing her name made me uncomfortable because it reminded me that I'm still the same person who wasn't enough for her, and maybe eventually I won't be enough for you either. There it was. The truth Ryan had been avoiding since he met Lisa. His biggest fear laid out in the open. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but firm. That's not fair to either of us. What do you mean? You're comparing me to her. You're assuming I'm going to leave you for the same reason she did. But I'm not Rachel, Ryan. I've never asked you to be someone you're not. I know that, Ryan said. I do. But can you honestly say you're not worried that I'm still hung up on her? That seeing her name didn't make you doubt us even a little bit? Lisa looked away, and that was answer enough. That's what I thought, Ryan said quietly. I just need some time, Lisa said, grabbing her bag from the back seat. This weekend was amazing, and I don't regret any of it. But that phone call brought up some things we probably need to figure out, separately. Lisa, please. I'm not breaking up with you, Lisa said quickly. I just need to think. To figure out if I can handle being with someone who might still be processing feelings for their ex. I'm not processing feelings for Rachel, Ryan insisted, but I am processing feelings about what she did to me. There's a difference. I know, Lisa said, and that's what I need to think about. Whether I can be with someone who's still healing from someone else. She leaned in and kissed him on the cheek, then got out of the car. Ryan watched her walk into her building without looking back. He sat there in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel, feeling like everything good from the weekend had just slipped through his fingers. His phone buzzed. Another text from Rachel. Please call me. I made a mistake and I need to talk to you. Ryan stared at the message, his thumb hovering over the delete button. Part of him wanted to just erase it and pretend it never happened. But another part of him, the logical part that was always planning ahead, wondered if maybe he needed to deal with this, to finally close that chapter of his life for good. He drove home, the message still unanswered on his phone, feeling like he was right back where he started. Scared, alone, and unsure of what to. 3 weeks passed. 21 days of Ryan staring at his phone, typing messages to Lisa and then deleting them before sending. 21 days of going through the motions at work, pretending everything was fine while feeling like a piece of him was missing. He'd met Rachel for coffee, like she'd asked. It took him a week to work up the courage to respond to her message, and when he finally did, she'd suggested meeting at their old favorite cafe. That should have been his first warning sign. The meeting lasted exactly 15 minutes. That's how long it took for Ryan to realize he felt absolutely nothing for Rachel anymore. She talked about missing him, about making a mistake, about how the guy she left him for wasn't what she expected. But as she spoke, all Ryan could think about was Lisa. How Lisa made him laugh, how she challenged him to be better, how she never made him feel like he needed to be someone else. He'd politely told Rachel he'd moved on, wished her well, and left. It was the closure he didn't know he needed, but it came too late, because Lisa wasn't answering his calls, wasn't responding to his texts. She'd gone completely silent, and Ryan was too scared to show up at her apartment unannounced. What if she decided she was done? What if 3 weeks was her way of letting him down easy? His coworker David noticed him zoning out during a meeting and pulled him aside after. "Dude, what's going on with you? You've been like a zombie for weeks." "It's nothing," Ryan said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is it that girl, Lisa?" Ryan nodded, not trusting himself to say more. "So text her," David said, like it was the simplest thing in the world. "I have. She's not responding." "Then call her." "Tried that too." David looked at him like he was an idiot. "Then go to her apartment. Show up, do something. Sitting here moping isn't going to fix anything. What if she doesn't want to see me? Then at least you'll know. But this whole waiting around thing? That's just torture for both of you." Ryan knew David was right. He'd been playing it safe again, waiting for Lisa to make the first move, too scared to put himself out there and risk rejection. It was exactly the kind of behavior that had held him back his whole life. That afternoon, Ryan left work early. He didn't have a plan, didn't have a speech prepared. He just got in his car and drove to Lisa's apartment, his heart pounding the whole way. When he got there, he sat in his car for a solid 10 minutes, trying to work up the courage to go inside. Finally, he forced himself out and walked to her building. He pressed the buzzer for her apartment. Nothing happened. He pressed it again. Still nothing. Just as he was about to turn and leave, the intercom crackled to life. "What do you want, Ryan?" Lisa's voice sounded tired. "I need to talk to you. We talked 3 weeks ago." "No, you told me you needed space 3 weeks ago. I'm asking if we can actually talk now." There was a long silence. Ryan held his breath, preparing himself for her to tell him to leave. But then the door buzzed open. Lisa's apartment was on the 3rd floor. Ryan took the stairs 2 at a time, suddenly desperate to see her. When he reached her door, it was already open. She was standing in the doorway, arms crossed. Looking guarded. "Hi," Ryan said, suddenly feeling like all the words he'd rehearsed in his head had evaporated. "Hi," Lisa replied. They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Ryan noticed she looked tired, like maybe she hadn't been sleeping well either. That gave him a tiny bit of hope. "Can I come in?" he asked. Lisa hesitated, then stepped aside. Ryan walked into her apartment, which was so different from his. Where his place was organized and minimal, hers was full of life. Plants on every surface, colorful pillows thrown on the couch, pictures and art covering the walls. It was perfectly her. "So," Lisa said, closing the door but staying near it. "What did you want to talk about?" "I met with Rachel," Ryan said. "The day after we got back from the lake house." He saw Lisa's face tighten. "Okay, I needed closure. I needed to prove to myself that I was over her. And I am. Completely. It took me about 5 minutes of talking to her to realize that whatever I felt for her died a long time ago." "That's good," Lisa said, but her voice was flat. "I'm happy for you, are you?" Ryan challenged gently. "Because you sound pretty angry with me." "I'm not angry," Lisa said, then corrected herself. "Okay, maybe I'm a little angry, but not because of Rachel. Then why?" "Because you were so scared of her that it made me question everything. If you're that affected by your ex, how am I supposed to compete with that? How am I supposed to know that you're really choosing me and not just settling because she's not available?" "You really think that?" Ryan asked, his heart sinking. "You think I'd settle for you?" "I don't know what to think," Lisa said, her voice cracking slightly. "I put myself out there with you, Ryan. I was completely vulnerable. And then that phone call happened and I saw how much it shook you, and I realized maybe I'm not enough either. Maybe I'm just the rebound girl who helped you get over your ex." Ryan stepped closer to her. "Lisa, look at me." She did, reluctantly. "You are not a rebound. You are not someone I'm settling for. You are the person who made me realize what I was missing in my life. Yes, seeing Rachel's name freaked me out, but not because I still have feelings for her. It freaked me out because I was terrified of losing you the same way I lost her. That doesn't make sense, Lisa said. She left you. Exactly. She left because I wasn't enough. And my biggest fear is that one day you'll realize I'm not enough for you either. That my careful, planned, predictable nature will bore you and you'll leave too. Lisa's expression softened. Ryan, I've never asked you to be different. I know. But Rachel did. And I guess I've been projecting that onto us. That's not fair to you and I'm sorry. They stood there in silence for a moment. Then Lisa asked, so what now? Now, Ryan said, reaching into his pocket. I take the biggest risk of my life. He pulled out his phone and typed a quick message, then showed it to Lisa. Guess what I'm not wearing? Lisa looked confused. I don't understand. My armor, Ryan said. I'm not hiding behind my fears anymore. I'm not protecting myself from getting hurt. I'm standing here, completely exposed, telling you that I choose you. Not because Rachel isn't available. Not because you're convenient. But because you're exactly what I want. Even when you scare me. Especially when you scare me. Lisa's eyes were starting to shine with tears. You're really bad at this whole spontaneous thing, you know that? I know, Ryan smiled. But I'm trying. And I'll keep trying. Because you're worth it. What if I hurt you? Lisa asked quietly. What if we don't work out? Then at least I took the chance. At least I didn't spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Lisa finally smiled. A real, genuine smile that made Ryan's chest feel lighter. You really mean that? Every word. She moved closer to him, closing the distance between them. For what it's worth, I was miserable these past 3 weeks, too. I kept picking up my phone to text you, but I was too stubborn to make the first move. We're both pretty stubborn, Ryan agreed. And we both have things we need to work on, Lisa added. Probably, but maybe we can work on them together. Lisa nodded, wrapping her arms around his neck. I'd like that. They stood there holding each other, both of them finally letting their walls down completely. So, Lisa said after a moment, pulling back to look at him. What else aren't you wearing? Ryan laughed. My doubts, my fear. My need to have everything planned out perfectly. That's a lot of things to not be wearing, Lisa teased. Well, I had a good teacher, 6 months later. Ryan and Lisa were at another art gallery opening. It was one of Tom's again. More random paint splatters that neither of them understood, but they were there together, laughing at their inability to appreciate modern art. Lisa's phone buzzed. She looked at it and laughed, showing Ryan the screen. It was a text from her sister. Guess who's not wearing a ring yet? Lisa rolled her eyes, but Ryan felt his pocket where a small velvet box was sitting. He'd bought it last week, had been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment. But as he looked at Lisa, laughing and happy, he realized there was no such thing as the perfect moment. There was just now. Hey, he said, pulling out the box. Lisa's eyes went wide. Ryan, what are you doing? Something spontaneous, he said, getting down on one knee right there in the middle of the crowded gallery. People started to notice, forming a circle around them. You're crazy, Lisa said, her hands covering her mouth. I learned from the best. Ryan opened the box. So here's my question. Guess what I'm not wearing? What? Lisa asked, tears already forming in her eyes. My fear. Not anymore. Lisa, you taught me how to take chances, how to live in the moment, how to be brave. Will you marry me? Lisa was crying now, nodding before she could even get the words out. Yes, yes, of course, yes. The gallery erupted in applause as Ryan stood and slipped the ring on her finger. They kissed, holding each other tight, while people they didn't know cheered for them. When they finally pulled apart, Lisa was still crying and laughing at the same time. I can't believe you just did that, she said. Me neither, Ryan admitted, but it felt right. It was perfect, Lisa said, looking at the ring on her finger. Completely unplanned and perfect. Well, to be fair, I did plan to propose eventually, just not today. But you did it anyway. Yeah, Ryan smiled. I did it anyway. They left the gallery hand in hand, ready to start the next chapter of their lives together. Both of them,